Good morning. I'm very sorry for all of this, but it's early morning, so yeah. So yesterday I talked to Maura, who is the Ulster Bank mobile mortgage manager. Today I'm going to talk to Tom O'Hare, who's a solicitor. I feel like I've kind of got the mortgage thing covered, so now I need to know about the legal side of things of buying a house. I've never actually met a solicitor before, so I don't really know what to wear. Too much? Too much, yeah. Okay, that's the jacket gone. I'm still not sure about the suit or the tie, but whatever, we're gonna go with it. I'm going to order a taxi. Okay, so we are on our way to Sutton to meet Tom, the solicitor. I have loads of questions for him. The solicitor is basically the person who's with you the entire time throughout the process, so like you really have to pick the right one. I've never met a solicitor before, so I don't even know what to say to him. So this is all very new. Tom, thanks so much.
Nice to meet you.
I really hate the fact that you're not wearing a tie and I'm wearing a tie. I have so many questions about buying a house. I literally know nothing about it. I'm probably going to ask you really stupid questions, and I'm very sorry if I am.
Okay, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Most people don't do this very often.
Yes.
So ask whatever question you think, and your solicitor will always answer them.
There are absolutely stupid questions, and I'm going to ask them. What exactly are the legal fees involved?
So legal fees are divided into two categories. So the first is the solicitor's professional fee. And you must agree that, you should always agree that with your solicitor when he's opening the file for you. So you can expect to pay between €1,400 and €1,600 probably for a first time buyer on that side. And then there are what we call outlays. These don't really change from solicitor to solicitor. They are cost related to buying the property, such as stamp duty, land registry fees, legal searches.
Okay, so searches basically means any kind of, I guess, investigation or research into the house and into the person who's actually selling the house. So it could be like, say for example, if the vendor was bankrupt or if there was still money owed on the house or whatever.
And your solicitor will always break those down for you so that you can budget and you know exactly how much it's going to cost. But always establish that at the very start with your solicitor so there's no surprises when it comes to close the sale.
At what stage should I get a solicitor involved?
So you should really get your solicitor involved at the very start. When you're viewing your property, you should get the solicitor involved so that you can get an idea of the fees and the budget for those, and also that you have a point of contact that if something comes up when you're viewing the property, that you can ask your solicitors.
And what kind of, I guess what kind of paperwork do I need to give you in order to get the whole thing started?
So your solicitor will ask you at the very start for a list of paperwork that you will already have because you'll have them as part of your mortgage application. Yeah. So copies of your passport, your PPS number, recent utility bills, a marriage certificate for instance. So you'll have a lot of the documents, but be prepared to give those to the solicitor as well so that he or she can open the file for you. Okay,
so realistically, what sort of timeline would somebody be looking at between sale agreed and actually getting the keys?
Okay, so that's the most common question every solicitor is asked at the very start. And there isn't a standard time.
Right.
The average is probably 6 to 8 weeks from the time you go sale agreed. Okay. But that can be longer, it can be shorter, and a lot depends on how ready the vendor is.
Okay, vendor, you're going to hear that word a lot. Vendor is the person who's actually selling the house.
And it's really important to ask the estate agent when you're viewing a house, is the vendor ready to sell? Is the vendor ready to move? And how long is it likely to take for them to do so? They might be selling to move on somewhere else, and they may not have even found the property they're going to move on to. In that case, you could be stuck in what's called a chain.
Alright, so chain is actually not a Fleetwood Mac song. It's basically when the sale of one house is dependent on the sale of another house. For example, if you're trying to buy the vendor's house and the vendor is trying to buy another house, you then have to wait for that sale to complete before the vendor can actually sell you their house.
So try and establish as early as you can how ready are the vendors, because you're probably going to be ready to go. Most first-time buyers are ready to go. They have their loan offer. They're anxious to proceed. Yeah. But the delay can be how ready are the vendors. So try and establish that as early as you can.
When should somebody pay the deposit, and then what are the stages after that?
Okay, so there are two deposits paid usually. There's what's called the booking deposit, and that's paid usually to the agent when you agree the sale. That can be between 5, 6 or 7,000 euro usually for a first time buyer. And then when it comes to the contract stage, when the solicitors have done their work and are ready for both parties to sign a contract, you will pay a further deposit, and that will bring the total deposit up to 10% of the price.
Right.
At that stage, the sale becomes legally binding, and both parties agree then to what's called a closing date.
Okay, so closing is when the actual sale of the house completes. So you draw down the money from the mortgage, that goes to the vendor's solicitor, you sign the title deeds, and then you get the keys. Tom, thanks so much. You've been a great help, and I think anybody watching this as well, they're going to get a lot out of it. So really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so that was it. That was Tom. I'm very aware of the fact that he was not wearing a tie and I was, but whatever. That's great. I have everything I need to know about that. So head on home. So yeah, Tom taught me a lot about what to look out for when buying a house, things that you should keep an eye out for. Here are my 3 main takeaways. Number 1, there are no silly questions. Number 2, bring in the solicitor as early as possible. And finally, number 3, when it comes to picking up your keys, timelines can vary. Normally, it's about 6 to 8 weeks from when you sign the contract to when you actually pick up the keys. So that is it for today. And tomorrow I'm going to meet Kieran Banahan, who is a surveyor. He's going to teach me all the things you need to look out for when you're buying an older property. So a lot to look out for there. Okay.